Hello everyone, it's Henry here, and I'm here to give you a bit of a track guide uh, for this round's time trial at Interlagos in the Group 2 machinery. So this is actually a pretty hard lap to gold if you're not really getting it right, because this car doesn't really like getting traction out of slow corners. So one of the things you want to, before you even start the lap, one of the things you want to have is that you want to be starting in third gear. Okay, so as you exit the last turn, you're going to head on to this straight over here. Make sure you're starting in third gear. Okay, the reason for that is because you want to be able to get as much traction as possible to be on the power early, because you're carrying this all the way down a very long straight. Okay, and so on the start line, you want to be at around 168. I have it in miles per hour, so you want to be at 168 at the start line. Okay, and the reason for that is because if you're slower at the start, you're going to lose about half a tenth to a tenth. Okay, now our first reference is going to be the 50-meter board. Okay, as you're approaching it, brake pretty much right on it. Okay, brake right on it, and be very aggressive with your gear shifts. Okay, be extremely aggressive with your downshifts here. Okay, that's so that you can get the rotation into the corner. Now, your turn in is going to actually be a little bit late. The reason for that is because you want to set up the S's so that you can straight line the exit of the center S's as much as possible. All right. The reason for that is because you have a long straight, right? You have the back straight that you're going to be going down. And so if you don't get a good exit, you're going to be losing a lot of time down that straight. Okay? So let's go into the turn. So here, notice that I'm being very aggressive with downshifts, right? Yeah, so have a look. Being very, very, very aggressive with my downshifts. Okay? And you'll see here, you'll even see that I actually go down to first gear. Okay, as I brake, you'll see that I go down right to first gear. Okay, now, do not turn in early. Do not turn in early, okay? Because if you do, right, there's another side to this. If you turn in early, right, notice how I'm turning in just as this barrier on the left starts to turn gray and transitions into that guardrail. That's where I'm starting to turn in. Notice that as I turn in, I'm releasing the brake a little bit and I'm down into first gear. Okay, this is very important. You want to kind of once you're into first gear, let the car coast a little bit. Okay, and as you get onto this curb that you see over on the left-hand side, as you get onto that curb, you're going to go not into second, but into third gear. Okay, again, because you're not on soft tires, you're on medium tires, okay, you're not going to have as much grip and as much traction. All right, so this car is going to want to spin a lot more. Okay, so to get the traction, go into third gear. So you'll see as I turn in, you'll see that my apex speed is around 60 miles an hour. Okay, that's about the speed you want to be carrying here. Okay, you see how I'm going up into third gear and then lift a little bit. Okay, but the idea is that you want to turn in late, open up the exit so you can straight line it, lift a little bit on the apex, okay, and cut as much of it as you can. You can actually get away with lifting less than I did here. So there's probably another half a tenth to a tenth here in this sector alone. You'll see that my split one time is a 21.1, I think, which isn't the greatest. I could probably do a 21 flat, but for purposes of this track guide, this should do. Okay. And again, flat through here, flat through here, here. Now, as you're heading down the straight, you're gonna come across your next reference. You see that path in between the 50 and the 100 meter sign? Brake dead on that. As you're passing that path, brake right on it, okay? Now, you're gonna do, again, to get the car stopped, go into second gear, okay? So right here, I'm starting to apply the brake, and I'm downshifting very aggressively, okay? Now, go into second gear. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you here, I'm still in fifth, fourth, third, and then as I reach the apex, notice how I go down to second, and then up into third. Now, you wanna be a little bit careful when you're accelerating out of this corner, okay? You want to touch that curb. Okay, you wanna touch the curb. You don't want to be full throttle on it, okay? When you get on the throttle, 70, 80%, then once you're off that curb, full throttle. Once you're off that curb, full throttle, okay? All right. Now, as we head into the middle sector here, right, there's gonna be this, the first set of really hard turns is going to be this right-hander that's actually a double apex. You wanna be careful. So the Marshall stand that you'll see on the left-hand side, the green Marshall stand you'll see on the left-hand side, use that as your brake and turning point. Now, the key to this corner is not braking at 100%, okay? Do not go 100%. Little burst of braking, and that should be enough, okay? Now, for this one, you're gonna go into fourth, and then into third to get rotation, okay? Let the car coast. Okay, let the car coast, and then you're gonna come back up into fourth and make the second apex, okay? So let's look at this closely. So again, I'm still in third, I'm decelerating, letting the car coast, a little bit more, and then boom. Now that I'm in fourth, I'm gonna hammer that throttle now. Okay, and then wide here, wide entry here. Right as you get on that curb, start braking, okay? Start braking. Brake earlier than you think for this corner. The reason for that is because you actually don't want to hit that apex. You actually want to pretty much cut this corner as much as you can. Now, track limits allow for you to actually have your left wheels on the right, on that inside curb on the right for this right-hander, okay? So for this hairpin, you actually want your left wheels on the curb, and you basically want your right wheels on the grass. You really have to cut this corner, because if you don't, you're losing probably 1.5 to 2 tenths here. So cutting this corner is pivotal. The other reason you want to cut this corner is because it actually sets you up for a nice wide entry, so you can take a tight line into the upcoming hairpin that you'll be coming across after that. Okay, so I'm going to show you here. Now for this one, you want to brake hard, down to first gear, and then into second, not third, second, okay? Right here. You could cut this a lot more, by the way. You can cut that a lot more than I did, okay? I probably could go again, try and cut this a little bit more, probably gain another tenth or so, but definitely cut this as much as you can, okay? Now, ideally, you'd be a little bit wider here, okay? That way you can actually brake a little bit later to take a nice tight line for this hairpin, okay? But the goal is you want to take a relatively tight line. And then here, for the exit here, you definitely want to be into third. This is a very easy place to lose traction. So as I said, whenever you're prioritizing traction, you want to be in third gear, okay? Because you need the traction, be in third gear. Okay, because you're still going around the turn here, you want to be on the power early, and you want to be in third gear, okay? Your car won't bog down as much, because as you're exiting the corner, you will generate enough revs so that the car doesn't bog down. Okay, so it won't bog down that much. You can stay in second gear if you'd like. It's not completely necessary to go up into third, but it is a much safer way to take this corner. Okay, so consider the way I'm doing it, where you double upshift into third here. Okay. Now, be very careful here, okay, because you can get a lot of oversteer, even if you go up to third gear. Okay, it's even more treacherous if you try to do it in second. It is possible, it is doable, but just bear that in mind. Now, for the hairpin that follows, okay, you're gonna see a little bit of you're gonna see a little green patch on the left-hand side, and I'll show you. Brake before it ends. Okay, brake before it ends. So right here, before it ends, as you come across those, come across that little set of tire marks, right? As those come off the screen, start braking. Okay, and again, you're going to go down into first gear. Okay, so for each of these hairpins, you want to go into first gear to get the rotation. Now, like the first hairpin I showed you, you're not going to go up into third. You're actually going to go up into second gear. Okay, so again, you're going to go down to first, second gear, and you can actually, ideally, you can actually take a little bit of that curb. Okay, I didn't take that curb. I could have gained maybe another half a tenth there. Okay, so you definitely want to take that curb. Okay, and do not go full throttle once your car is straight. Wait, be patient. Okay, while you're waiting, be 70-80% on the throttle. Okay, and then once you feel you're confident, then you can go full throttle. Okay, so let me again show you this section right here. No. So again, up into third here. Okay, and then right before that green patch ends, you brake. And then as you're coming out here onto the apex, second gear. Okay, now this section is just going to be flat out. Make sure you don't clip that inside curb. And then this corner is going to be important. You want to get on this quote unquote grass a little bit. It's not grass actually. You won't lose grip if you get on that. If you get on that quote unquote grass. This is actually a little bit of grass, the tarmac. I'm not sure what it is, but you will have grip if you have your right tires on that. Okay, now you're gonna have to judge this one a little bit. Okay, but usually my go-to is probably about halfway, a little bit. So if you come back to this. Again, flat out through here, some brakes. So I would say a little past halfway between the end of the curb and the 50-meter board. Okay? And then make sure you get a wide entry, again, down to first gear to get rotation, and right up into third. Here, you really need to be in third gear to get out of this turn. Okay? And you don't want to smash the throttle here. That's very important. Okay, if you do, you will spin. You will spin. You want to lay down the power gently. Okay, so like this. Okay. And so if you look, coming across the line. Okay. You'll see that this time is good for 123.516. Okay. So I'm going to replay this without any commentary, just so you can have a look for yourself. Okay? And with that, that'll be all for today. All right, everyone. Take care.